Chloe. I'm originally from San Francisco, but I've lived in Berlin for about 8 years. I am a DJ and a producer, but I'm also a cellist. I'm classically trained as a cellist, like in my past life. And I'm also a music journalist. I work for Resident Advisor.
Hey everyone, I'm David. I'm also a musician. I'm doing music since 13 years, living in Berlin since ever. My family is from Odessa, and yeah, happy to be here.
As I know, you had a performance yesterday, right? How it was?
It was great. I mean, K41 is my favorite club. I'm not just saying that because
I feel
here. Yeah, it was amazing. It was my first time playing in the downstairs also.
Amazing, yeah. And how about you guys? Have you been yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
It was awesome.
Great. So let's start. The first question, as for me, how do Ukrainian ravers different from others? Ukrainians, yeah.
I feel a lot of the energy here that I don't always when I'm playing other places, and I don't know, there's just like a lot of passion and energy and feedback from the crowd, and I don't know, I feel a lot more connected to the audience here actually than I do in most places that I play, and it makes it very special.
And people really dance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, maybe it's a question for you, okay? How do you motivate and inspire yourself to create music? And do you plan your sessions or do they spontaneously?
For me, it's like different aspects, like going out into the nature, reading books, watching films, listening to different music. That's very important, like a lot of different genres, like indie rock, hip-hop, and combining all these inspirational things. Also different food, meeting people, so everything in life which gives me like energy and happiness, like super different stuff.
But do you have a like idea what you're gonna do in the studio, or it's gonna...
I mean, especially for a session, like for a jam session, for a production session, it's always like depending on the day, depending on the mood. So it's.
But you're trying to do it like
but
every day.
Yeah, I never force it actually. Like it really depends. Like you wake up and then you feel like maybe it's gonna be a good day, maybe not. Like maybe you're gonna be going out to sports and then you feel better and then you have the inspiration. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, what advice do you have for aspiring music producers for keeping delaying their start?
Sorry.
What advice do you have for aspiring music producers who keep delaying their start? Like when people can't start, you know, like what they always delay, and it's like for tomorrow. What your advice? How to start? You know, so like
I would say like never give up. Like there was like a good friend was saying like never give up. It's a basic sentence, but it's actually true. Like never give up. Always start again. Another day, another try, another workflow, maybe another idea. But always keep pushing and don't think that. Yeah, like.
I think maybe someone who asked it meant like. Some people, they don't have enough courage and not enough power inside just to start to write to label or to some another musicians and ask maybe some advices, you know. That's maybe like how I feel the question was like that. So maybe some your advice, like keep going, it's always good advice, but maybe something about disciplines. I don't know.
About discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important to have like a schedule for your day and to know what you're gonna do, and also to connect with the people and to, yeah, like to plan and to see where you're, how would you say, like, what do you want to do, like, yeah, what are your goals are, yeah.
I guess I would add, like, I mean, one of my issues is I have really big goals, and sometimes that keeps me from actually doing something. And I think it's important to just maybe set like a really small expectation for yourself and be like, today I'm just gonna do this. Like I'm just gonna work at this synthesizer and make like don't think about making a complete track or like a complete EP. And I find that that's kind of like when you let things come naturally and you work in this way. Because otherwise it's easy to like compare yourself or feel anxious and overwhelmed.
I mean, comparing yourself is, I think, the worst. Like in general, like comparing to big artists who are you're looking up to is never good.
It's never good. Yeah, that's true. And how long was your way to artist, to become artist? Your story and your story, like.
It depends on where you see your start of an artist. Like for me, I was starting 13 years ago, like with GarageBand or just a basic DAW. So it depends where you see your start of the career. Maybe when you had the first agency or your first gigs.
For example, for me, like I'm a DJ 18 years, and as a music producer, like my first experience with Ableton, it was more than 10 years ago, but I didn't start to do it professionally. And then 3 years ago, I was in a camp, like a marriage camp with a model exchange, and I had like some minimum of experience, and I did some tracks and like something, I don't know, I didn't have like a schedule of like discipline. And then after this camp, it started like I decided to come to model exchange, and I finished school and I started to produce my music. It was 2 years ago. So for me, my career started 2 years ago, not like 10, because that's how I started to do. That's maybe, it's long way, but maybe you can share some story of your life and inspire others.
I was playing piano for 8 years, so like since I was 14, and then I was studying three years sound design, finished my bachelor, and I would say then after my bachelor I was working in a synchronization studio like for films, doing like dubbing, like recording acts and editing. And that was the time when I learned like working with audio in a real professional way, I would say. So it was like 4 or 5 years ago.
My trajectory is a little bit different because I'm a musician. Well, I mean, because I've been a journalist actually, and when I moved to Berlin, I wanted to be a music journalist, which is what I did, and I had like no ambitions to become an artist at all, and I had already stopped playing the cello. Like I stopped for about 10 years, and I started working for this record label, managing it just because I loved techno. And then they asked me to be the opening act at some parties in Berlin, and then people just started booking me to play. So it just kind of like happened. And I didn't actually start making music until, I mean, it was a few years ago. And it actually happened because I went through a really terrible breakup. And then it just became like a way for me to express myself. And I didn't have any goal with it. It was more just like something I felt. And it's kind of just become this career that I've had always like historically on the side of journalism, because that's where I did all my studies in writing. I studied journalism, so it's always been something like that.
And you're still writing, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay for you to continue two different careers because it's kind of close to each other, right?
They're very close to each other. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't resident advisor, because it's like it has so much overlap with what I'm doing with my career. But I would say that it's tough. It is very tough to do both. And I would love to maybe just do music, but it's
okay. Like question from me. And when you feel like you're like almost burning out. Like, what do you do? Your advice is for others who also do a lot.
Yeah, I'm a bit like, I thrive under pressure and stress, like I love it, and I don't think it's healthy. But I do take time, like, one thing I started doing actually when I travel for gigs is I love hiking and nature, and I always set aside a few days like just to go hiking. Like I did an Asia tour a couple months ago, and I took the week just to like go to the mountains.
Nice.
And for me, that's very rejuvenating. I don't look at my computer, and I do that a few times a year. And I guess for everyone, it's different. Maybe it's not hiking,
Funny
maybe
thing.
it's something else, but.
Sorry to interrupt. The funny thing, like I noticed, like so many artists are going for hiking or bouldering, like so many, like even like I don't know, Claire or Marie Montaigne. So everyone is going like for bouldering or hiking. It's interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, nature is key for your connecting with yourself. Yeah. So it's really clear. Good question. How to feel confident on stage?
Prepare good.
Good answer.
I would say like prepare before your set and be confident. Like you feel confident because you're be prepared good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, same. I think also just comes with experience. Like I think like the more comfortable you feel in front of the crowd, like the confidence will come because you have trust in yourself. I don't always feel confident.
But you always do you have like before your gig some kind of nervous or something like that?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Actually, it depends on the gig. Sometimes. Yeah.
But your most like biggest fucked up in the career, do you remember? When track doesn't work or something like that.
I mean, when I was first starting out and stuff like this would happen, or like I'd fuck up a mix or something, I would want to die. I was just like, but now I just really don't give a fuck at all. I'm just like, it's like,
it
okay,
happens.
and then you just keep going, and I don't know. I think that people don't really care that much. Like, I would never be like, oh, someone's a bad DJ because they like made a mistake. I actually think it's kind of nice, and it's also just like a good skill to have in life, just to be able to be like, oh, move on.
And what about you?
And especially like one case where there was like a fuck up or
like the question like what the best and the scariest moment in your career. So I decided to ask what's some about scariest or like some fuck up. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there was a case where there was like a misunderstanding with some agents, and I just realized that I have to play this day in Prague, and I had to like order a taxi to come to Prague. Like I had to pack in 1 hour and go to Prague immediately. Leave everything at home and go to Prague directly. That was like super stressful, for example. Yeah.
But you did it.
Yeah, I made it.
You made it. Okay, and the best moment in your career, do you remember?
There was so many good like gigs. I cannot remember one particular, but like a special moment on a stage when you had like a really good crowd response. But I don't remember a special. Yeah, yesterday it was really special, I would say.
And question for you: how did your residence in Tresor influence your career and status in the DJ world?
I mean, Tresor is like my home. The people who are running the label in the club, I really feel like super, like, it's like a very close-knit crew, and I am so appreciative that they've invited me to like be a part of it. I'm playing there quite a bit, and I think that that's like, it makes me feel more free to like experiment when I'm there. Like that's when I feel the most comfortable DJing. Like I will try different stuff, or like I'll play really long closing sets there. I played an all-night set there. Like the longest I've ever played was there. I played, I think it was like 9 hours or something like that, which I've never done anywhere else. And it's just like, I feel like I have their support kind of no matter what. And that has made me feel like, it's made me feel really good. I can't really say how it's affected like my career in general. I do think it's, you know, I put out a record on Tresor last year, and I do feel like that was like a moment when people started knowing who I was a little bit more maybe, but yeah.
And how you become a resident, it's from your first time when you played there until the moment when you become like resident, how long?
Oh, well, okay, the first time I played there it was 2017, and it was like my second ever gig in Berlin, or like third, or like gig ever, probably. It was, yeah, and I don't think I was really ready for it, just like in terms of my skill level, and I didn't play there again for like 7 years, or so. No, not 7 years, well, a long time, many years. And then after the pandemic, they just invited me to be a resident.
Immediately?
Randomly. I mean, not randomly, but yeah, I had gone back to get my master's in journalism, and then I wasn't sure if I was going to keep DJing or not. And then once things opened up again, and I joined an agency, and my gigs started picking up, and then Tresor.
Sounds like a dream for someone, I think. The question, do you feel that music can impact your mental health?
I mean, in general, there are also like these kind of sine waves and tones which are therapeutic, like the beta waves, alpha waves, or also ambient music. Yeah, in different cases, they are used for therapeutic cases, but I think in general, if you're listening to music and you like the music, basically it helps your health, you're happy, you feel good. Also, when you're listening to music, when you're doing sports, it also gives you energy, you have like power to do the sport. So in general, I think music is wonderful.
And process of production also, for me,
Yeah.
like it's real therapy.
Yeah.
The process when you
Definitely.
hold the studio and for hours, right?
Yeah.
For you the same, right?
Yeah, no, I also just feel like it's, even if I'm feeling like really deeply emotional, like really sad, music is very much like a soundtrack to my emotions, and I can't imagine, I honestly cannot imagine my life without it, and I'm so passionate about music, and like no one else in my family is creative at all, and it's always astounded. I'm like, what do normal people do? So yeah, for me it's like just I think whether you're listening to or playing music, it's
Also depends on the phase of your life. I think if you're sad, I notice like for me especially, you're listening to more melancholic music or more emotional melodic music maybe, or if you're angry, maybe a bit more harder music, I don't know, in general.
Yeah, good, thank you. And I have a question. 1 second, where I want to ask. What advice do you have for underground or niche producers and DJs seeking bookings outside of the mainstream genres?
Outside of the mainstream genres?
Genres,
Okay.
yeah. What advice do you have for underground? I don't know, maybe someone asked it who has some issues with it.
I don't know if I quite understand it correctly, but maybe like if the person is doing music, the genre is not in the mainstream, then logically the promoters or the bookers will book the artist because of the music. So the booking will basically not be in the mainstream bookings, I guess. If you're doing mainstream music, then you're getting booked for mainstream events, or?
Yeah, I guess I mean like more experimental music. I mean, I actually have a separate agent for my live thing because it's, I mean, more experimental. And so I guess I'd recommend reaching out to an agent who has more like-minded artists on the roster, maybe more experimental artists, or even just creating those connections yourself. Like there are a lot of amazing festivals and spaces that cater to experimental music, and I think like it's totally okay in my mind to just reach out directly. Yeah, I guess those would be my, and also like I've thrown events myself. Like I have also just like rented a space and like booked an opening artist and played like an experimental set and invited people and done the promotion, and people come, and that's like also a way to get started, I think, if you want to create your own platform.
As for me, I think in general we have such a big competition between in music industry between DJs and music producers, and everyone wants to be on stage and in lineups or festivals, clubs, whatever, and it's like a huge competition. And I think as for me, I had my experience when I was living in abroad, and I'm back. Like you write, like in Kiev, everybody knows me, and for me, it's not a problem to have a gig. Like, but when I was abroad, I sent 100 emails to agencies because I was sure it's so easy to find an agency for me, like with my music, with my experience, and like why not? So I didn't have in my mind like it's gonna be so hard, and I had just one answer from one booking agency, and they tell me, yeah, you're cool, but we have enough artists in our agency, so sorry. Yeah, so I didn't find any agent for myself, and I was so sad about that. But I know if you work really, really hard for that, you can find it. So I know many good stories from DJs who found, and they have good agencies, and maybe you can share some your advices or stories for others who struggling with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I think it's really hard now. I think the scene has changed so much in the last few years. Like, it's really oversaturated. Everyone's a DJ. Also, like, a lot of younger people are starting out, and they're like more savvy with social media, and I think it's quite difficult. That's not to like dissuade anybody. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, unfortunately, I do think that so much of success today is like predicated on being able to use Instagram well, and just like brand yourself well. And even if that means like having somebody help you with that, I don't know. That's kind of like my tip as someone who actually doesn't do that themselves. But I would also recommend just like sticking to what you love and like what is actually your sound, because I see a lot of artists who are like changing because they think it's going to make them more appealing, and trends today are coming and going like super fast. So I think that there's like no point in doing that. Those are kind of like my two cents. If you want to have a long career, because at the end of the day, it's like you can have like flash in the pan success, or you can like really build like something that's going to last a long time, and so you have to think about why it is you want to do.
Yeah,
I think for the long run also, yes, like you said, stick to the passion, to the music you're doing, because like it's not gonna be good for your mental health and in general if you like trying to go into the direction everyone is going with the hype. Like, yeah, if you're not into Instagram, you will not be into the Instagram even after a year. Like, it's not gonna be a good thing for your health and for your personality.
And you have your agency, right?
Yeah.
Do you have, and how you found it, or they found you?
Yeah, for me it was like, I changed my agencies 3 times, and it was, the first agency closed, the other agency, the booker also left the agency, so I had to move again. The third agency was the same thing, like the booker left the agency and I had to leave the agency again. now I'm with Elite, and yeah, I was doing music for, yeah, I had like several releases, was sending out music to my artists I was admiring, sending out promos, demos, and somehow like, yeah, I was sending music to an artist, and the artist was sending the music to his booker, and somehow, yeah, we came in touch.
Do you feel support from community? So you have like friends in music community, like real friends, like artists who can support you and give some advices,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I think it's super important,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
having friends, be socialized, like write to your to the bookers, write to artists you like, and try to connect.
Also,
But most importantly, do your music, like do a lot of music.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
try to get feedback from your music.
And if someone send you some releases, like can you give some feedback or something like that? How you react usually if it happens? You know, do
If someone sends music
send
to
you,
me,
yeah, like to have feedback, you know, because I know also from young musicians they can send some people give feedbacks, but some people just ignoring.
yeah, I know that. Yeah, I had so many messages about it. That, like, hey man, I'm not getting feedback. I'm a bit pissed. Yeah, he is super disrespectful. He didn't answer me. But look, guys, like there are artists who are touring 3 times a weekend. Like, come on, you cannot expect that this person has time for 100 demos. Like, you have to respect also a bit the time of the other people, and people have time, and people sometimes don't have time, and people have to accept it that sometimes you don't get feedback, and it's not a bad thing, and you cannot be angry on artists. I was also at this point where I didn't get feedback, and I was also a bit like lost. But at some point you have to realize that everyone has its life, and if you have time, I'm listening to music, I'm listening to demos, but I cannot listen to every demo. It's not possible.
But maybe someone send you something really
Yeah, of course.
like
of course.
masterpiece and you
Of
miss
course.
it. Yeah, so
It happens,
It
but
happens.
you cannot catch everything.
yeah, you're right. Okay. Any advice for beginner musicians on development their authentic artist personality and style?
I think just doing it, like just being in the studio, and usually like your musical vocabulary just comes as you start working more. And in my opinion, like the kinds of habits that you start developing, and like however you process sounds or use synths, or like the kinds of plugins that you feel like you always gravitate towards, like those start becoming your sound, because you'll find that you really like the results. And I think it just takes time and experience, and for me it's been like years. But
I think for me, the best when I felt like, oh, I have a progress, when I just gave to myself permission to do mistakes.
yeah,
Like I can do mistakes. I can do it like every day, and after that, like, yeah, something cool. Something can be really bad, but something can be really cool. So it's very good when you just relax and do everything what you want without any rules, because you have like these rules blocks in your mind. Like I can't do this. I don't know, head like or something like some sounds. When you don't have these boundaries, it helps. And what about you? Your advice for authentic?
Yeah, I think like you said, like just have fun in the studio. I think that's the best days for me, when I'm just coming to the studio and just starting the machines and doing some weird stuff. And from the weird stuff, the good stuff is coming.
Yeah.
Like when you relax and not just relax and enjoying the moment.
Cool. And good questions. What was your biggest yes and no at the beginning of your career?
The biggest yes and the biggest no.
Yeah, it's good.
For me, I think the biggest yes was like the first agency, I think, for sure, and the biggest no, maybe like a no to a demo to a big label I was sending to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The biggest no, or like the biggest rejection, or my biggest no to something else.
Maybe it's your biggest no also for something.
Okay, I've had some no's where I think, especially being a woman in the industry, like I still feel like tokenized a lot of the time.
You still feel what?
Tokenized, like the token female on the lineup. And there have been some gigs where I've had the feeling like I actually wasn't a fit musically and they just needed a woman. And I started saying no to some of those. And the first time I did that was a couple of years ago because I was, and that hasn't happened as much recently, but I think like early on in my career that was happening a lot. The biggest yes, actually the biggest yes was I was asked to play Boiler Room, and my agent at the time said I should not do it because I had a conflict with another gig that was the night before, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I was like, no matter what it takes, I'm gonna do it. And it ended up being just like insanely exhausting because I had to like go straight from this festival and travel like 14 hours, and I arrived right before my set at 6 a.m. at the Boiler Room, but I'm still really happy I did it, and that was the biggest yes I think I've had.
Actually, in what I hear from producers, musicians who has a really good career, like successful career, it's always tired and always you have like some little time for rest because of the next gig, and maybe your advice is also how to survive in this. When you know you have a goal, how to go there, and when you're there, you're always tired. No, or maybe I'm not
if
sure.
I have like a lot going on, I tend to not drink alcohol really, because I find that really makes me tired and it makes it harder the next day. So like that weekend that I had the Boiler Room and the festival, I did not have any alcohol until after I finished, and then I like celebrated, but and then I just sleep. Actually, the DJ, Tiana T, she's a good friend of mine, she said her DJ rules are eat when you can, sleep when you can. So like anytime you're on the plane, you're on the bus, whatever, just like close your eyes for a few minutes. Or like if you have a moment just to like sit and have some privacy, even if you're not asleep, but just like having a little bit of a break. Like I think just these small moments can be very like, they give you a little bit of energy. But I don't know, at the end of the day, if it's like a good gig, that is very like energizing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not only about tiring. Okay, guys, maybe you have some questions. Yes?
Hello, everyone. My name is Peter. Thank you guys for coming for Ukraine. In Ukraine, it's just we really appreciate this. Thank you for the interviewing. I have a huge bag of questions, and I don't want to take all of the time, so I'll try to be short. So please administrate me, okay? So the first question, where do we should start? Interesting thing. Were your parents actually supportive about your musical career when you decided the music is your way?
For me, it was, like 100%, yeah. There was no point where they said, like, you have to go to law school or something else.
So it was no rejection and something else? They didn't ever try you to force to go in the different direction?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think my parents are going to watch this, but yeah, my family has not been very supportive at all. It's been like a constant fight. And to this day, they are like trying to get me to quit doing music. So it's been hard, and I'm like very envious of people who have supportive families. But I'm still doing it, and I'm like hoping that by in a way showing them that I have made a life out of it, it's possible, but it's, yeah, it kind of sucks.
Even more respect to these artists who never had support from the parents, I guess.
Yeah.
So do they ever see the progress? Do they ever like cheered you up with anything you like come up with in your career?
They don't really follow my music career, I think. More because they don't understand it, but they cheer me on a lot with journalism. I think because they see that sorry, this sounds so bad. I think because they see that more as like a real job. So like when I have a good story that comes out, or like when I went to grad school, I got a lot of support from them, and they always read my articles and stuff. But I found with music, I think they don't really know what's going on. And I've showed them stuff before. I think there's just like a little bit of some kind of barrier. And again, I think it's also they're not like I'm like the black sheep of my family. Like they're very more conservative. But it's how it is. We get along, so it's not, you know.
I feel you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
If anyone has questions. Okay. You're a Tresor resident, right?
Yeah.
Which is really cool, like the legendary club. But I'm curious, what is special about Tresor comparing to the other clubs in Berlin for you? And how is to be Tresor resident? How it works? Pros and cons? Like, what is the inner process? What do they do for you, and what is your part of responsibility?
Okay, well, so I guess how it's different from other clubs. Well, I've only ever played, because I have an exclusivity agreement with them, so I can't really play other clubs in Berlin, except for like, I've played RSO a couple times, I played Berghain only once recently-ish, but like, I do feel that there's more of like a community there.
In Tresor? In
Tresor. Like the residents, in general, it seems to me, are like quite close with the people who run it. Like there's more of like a family, like a welcoming vibe. Yeah. And then in terms of what they do for me, like they'll send me to play Tresor showcases in other cities. Like I just played a Tresor showcase in Budapest a couple weeks ago with other residents. I'm producing a podcast for them, actually. And so they'll like promote it and stuff like that. And I guess the expectation on my end is I don't play other places. So I have to turn down other gigs in Berlin, which is okay for me. And the other expectation is that I'll play there like quite frequently. So like every other month. I can request like artists who I'd like to play with as well, and they'll like try to fit me on lineups with them. So yeah, no.
Do they do something for your social medias? Do they promote you? Do they order bookings on the other cities or countries?
Yeah, with the showcases, like with Tresor showcases, but nothing on social media.
So it's like your responsibility. You do it on your own.
Yes,
okay.
Sadly, yes.
Thank you. Anyone?
I just want to follow up with the promotion question. Like, how do, like, a lot of people do struggle, a lot of producers do struggle with the self-promotion and marketing and stuff. And I know we are on the underground scene, but social media is super important these days. So how do you like manage this, or someone manage it for you, or maybe you have some advices for producers who struggle with self-promotion? How to act when you like, maybe you're confident with your music, but you're not confident with networking, with self-promotion, etc.
I think maybe a good start would be like sending your music to your favorite artist and getting a feedback there, and maybe ask there for advice. If the music is good, then definitely someone will tell you that it's good, and good music will always find a place in this world. I have the feeling like, and you will always find help, and maybe start like with podcasts on your SoundCloud, maybe a release on Bandcamp, step by step, like.
Good advice.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, can I take? I found a good question about which platforms you recommended to use for learning about the music.
I had the feeling that YouTube nowadays is really good for learning music. Like there are always like people who tell they know stuff and they don't actually know, but there are good platforms where you can learn. For example, like Conrad Dalton is a really good mastering engineer. He has fantastic tips, and for everything is for free. And even
you mean it's for production?
that's like, yeah, production, mix down, mastering, yeah, that kind of stuff. For production, I would say platforms like Home of Sound, CDJ, yeah.
There's one called Echio, ECHIO, and you can actually, like, artists will volunteer to they'll give you feedback. You have to pay them. I don't think that much money. It's like a few dollars, and you can do like one-on-one sessions with them, or like send them a track or something like that. And they also have like workshops on there. I just found out about that, so.
I didn't knew about this platform.
Yeah, YouTube is the best for learning, but maybe also you can remember like some books or movies or some documentaries about the music in general, like for inspiration.
I mean, I love documentaries, music documentaries, but none of them are like directly related to making music, so I don't know if it would be helpful to share them.
Чого? Ой, чого?
I don't know, what does it mean?
Why?
Why? Wait, why wouldn't it be helpful to share that? Oh, because I mean, they're not really like related to techno, I guess. Like,